beautiful souls. This is another day that God has given each and every individual, okay? If you know that God have woke you up this morning, come on, give God some thanksgiving and praises. Be filled with gratitude and with that peace, light, and love. You are truly walking in abundance if you believe it. Friends, I just want you to know as I began to move around this morning, now, I was moving a little bit slow in things, but at the same token of moving slow, I realized that I'm just taking one day at a time just to feel the present of the now and being thankful. I also want to tell you, friends, I appreciate you for your support. I appreciate you if you just come in and be pleasant. Keep your mind and your heart and your soul cleansed and pure at all times because you never know who you may affect and the things that you may write down and how it may go out into the atmosphere. Let your words and let your thoughts be full of abundance. Abundance to me is in all phases of my life, whether or not I speak, whether or not I talk, a certain way. And if it's not elevating and if it's not uplifting, then it is doing me no earthly good and no spiritual good. Now, that's the journey and the path that I'm on, friends. I want you also to understand that. Make sure you thumbs up the video and subscribe to the channel, because Gigi really appreciate you when you do that. I also want to state, friend, it's not by chance that you have became a friend, with me, and I am thankful to say thank you for becoming that friends with Gigi. Now, on this journey and on this path, I talk about prayer. I talk about the power of forgiveness. I talk about, that peace, light, and love and abundance. And I want to talk more about prosperity. I want to talk more about the blessings that nothing can be held back from you when the blessings are yours because that's how God created you and designed you for your journey. I also, want to be talking about more about the lessons in life and learning them and how sometimes they can be just outright painful and sometimes they can be traumatic as well. And sometimes they can be filled with other things that can be drama, that can be unnecessary. But then once you go through that lesson, good morning, beautiful soul, and once you understand, these things that you had to learn from those particular lessons and things, you realize that everything was working out for your highest good, friends. I want my friends to also to understand now, and I got to put this out in the atmosphere in a loving way. Now, I'm not here to be any one Bible school teacher or Sunday school teacher. It seems like, individuals project at times that that's what I'm trying to do. But in actuality, I have been in those areas, as my friends know, and been in those particular circles. And I love, the fact of having that positive mind, knowing that scripture, is powerful if you can believe it, if you're reading it for the right purpose and reason, and other information, if you can take out those particular things that you need. I believe in unity. I believe in harmony. I just believe that there is principles and laws to peace. And I wanted to find the information that resonate and different and other, books and things to where about, when your thoughts and when your mind is in peace, love, and harmony, you can view things completely different. I believe that not only just this year, it's a renewing year, it's a new beginning, for individuals that see it and think that way, to where about not only, have some individuals have, tapped into the power of manifestation and understanding manifestation. Let me stop for a moment and receive the love. I love it. I love it with the balloons and things. I want to say hello to the individuals that is coming in because I want you to know that your presence make a difference. Thank you so much. And I just want, my friends to understand that it's okay to come in here and to write in the chat because I do come back and I basically try to check the chat, as best as possible and things. All right. I want to continue just by saying this, on this peace, light, and love and things. It's just that it's not about being perfect, but it's starting right where you're at, and achieving, that particular knowledge and awareness about, living in peace, light, and love. Let me just give an example with my friends and tell my friends when I started on this journey of peace, light, and love, it seemed like everything, now these are just my thoughts now, and I'm just sharing them, seemed like everything began to change and seemed like it was going wrong for me. And I'm like, now here it is. I'm a vessel that has surrendered, that have spoken and talking to God and just ask God, God, renew my mindset, come into my life. And the more and more, I'm praying and asking God to do these things because a really shift could have came and I could have easily got off of this particular journey. And I could have just said it's not working for me. I might as well just live continuously in my old ways, although that wasn't working for me. But at least I understand that particular path, that you get the good and the bad. Well, you get it the same way, even if, okay, you're surrendering and you tap into peace, light, and love, that positive energy and vibration, you still run into those things in life, at least for me. So the more and more I just became consistent, and the more and more I just began to just fall in love with, the God in me, the power of peace and the power of light and love. I realized, that it wasn't a bad thing. It was just the inner work. It just began to unfold. And I had to visit some things that was in my life that kept pressuring, and putting things in my particular way, to give it some attention. So I couldn't, what you call, avoid it. Certain things I just had to let it just pass through because I cannot fix everything, but I can be accountable. So showing up and things, when I realized that, wow, this is some inner work stuff that I really need to be doing, So I began to take, my journey and a effective way, this is what I'm trying to say, to look at it and to say that these are lessons that not only will help me, but it will help, other individuals. It will help my grandchildren, okay, even my children and everything, whether or not individuals have ears to hear or to listen. But when you choose the path of peace, light, and love, it spreads out, not just in your home, but amongst your friends. Of course, I have, experienced the whereabout individuals. Sometimes they may not forget your path because of the imprint and the things that, may have happened and things, but you can't not what you call be in a position of trying to constantly prove anything to anyone. One thing about the spirit of peace, light, and love, it does what it needs to do. When you are on this particular journey, just don't look for perfection. And that was the thing that I had to basically embrace, that God is already perfect and God made everyone unique, including you, friend. And it's okay to have stories and, a life lesson to share along in this particular journey. Because the one thing I can say, I have not found any perfection in no one that I have ever met. Individuals have stories, they have life issues and challenges. Some individuals, just they have things that even is going on right now. But what I've learned in everything for embracing peace, light, and love, you accept an individual just how God accepted you. It doesn't mean now you have to be attached or in that particular situation if it does not fit you, meaning that you let individuals live their life, okay, according until the spirit of the living God, the light that comes on in all of us, is given an opportunity to shine. I realize, how can I be on this journey talking about peace, light, and love and the power of prayer? But then I'm in this rejection, mode and things to whereby I cannot pray or I cannot see the good in an individual. I'm so busy saying, no, get away from me and things like that. And in reality, what God was showing me is that in each individual, you probably was once there or maybe this is something you need to see to forewarn you as an experience to just learn the lesson and listen and to give the comfort and the peace, light, and love. Now, that was not what you call an easy task for me because my ego began to think in the conscious mindset of what I could see. But then the more and more as I began to evolve and reading information on the subconscious mind, that's when things began to eradicate for me. What do I mean about that? Meaning that I had to get all of this junk that was planted in me and that I seen as the reality of life, when really it had nothing to do with the reality of life for me. These are just my thoughts. It had to do with that everybody works their own, challenges in a different way. And everybody is chosen, okay, because we all chose to come here, whether or not we believe it or not. It wasn't by accident. Probably once we got here, we realized, wow, is this the place I really want to be at in this earth place? But knowing now that you're here, what are the beautiful lessons that you can really share and help somebody with and encourage them with? What are the things that you possibly have not even gotten over and you can't even share them because you're still working through them, and things. I got some of those lessons too. I'm still working through, but on the beautiful part of me working through, I can say this much. I have actually given myself permission to grow in spaces that I don't want to grow and to evolve. I've given myself permission to forgive even more and let that heaviness of forgiveness, okay, be a part of my life. When I say heavy, heavy with a light load, meaning that being in a position to know that, listen, forgiveness, it does wonders. It opened up the mindset. It opened up the lenses, okay, to see the God in everybody. Even if the mindset was judgmental, it makes you become humble enough to know that, listen, we're all just, spirit beings living in this earthly realm. Even if you don't feel like that you're a spirit, we're all a spirit, but it was a higher, knowing that woke us up, the Most High, that created each and every individual. Even if an individual is not with a good spirit, they were created for a purpose to be here. Things happen for all type of reasons in this earthly realm. I can't even explain it. I'm just living to understand, just to be in the present of the now and to apply the laws and the principle. This is the one thing I want to say. When you walk in abundance, what I'm finding out is that abundance must be the imprint upon your life. And that abundance comes with knowing that all of these principles and laws that you are trying possibly so hard, to obtain, it's just simply an easy living. I find a lot of it in gratitude and being thankful. That was the part, that I want to say. When I began to be more thankful and were full of gratitude, I realized the lessons that was being faced and that was having me to redirect and to revisit. I realized this was the area that I had needed to stay in and things. That's why I really said, okay, I'll make it a lifestyle. Because truly, like I said, the old me, I didn't want to go back to because it didn't benefit me any longer. It was the new me that was trying to purge into, this new awareness, okay, that was feeling awkward and that was feeling different. But the minute I began to accept the fact that, listen, this has to be a lifestyle for me. And by saying that, friends, if you know that walking in abundance will be a good trade-off for you, because it's all phases of your life. What do I mean about all phases? In your health, okay? And the product of the way how you want to see things manifested for you, the attraction that you want for your personal life in a good and positive way. All of these things are available. They never been not available to you. It's been that mindset that had needed to shift, that had needed a change, that had needed a redirection. Now, these are my thoughts and experiences that I am truly sharing. I'm in my latter years right now. I can speak and tell some stories that were about it was not helpful to me, but hey, when I was unaware, I didn't know certain things. I wasn't what you call even in right alignment. Let me be truthful. And that right alignment came with me acknowledging, there are certain things that I need no longer to basically entertain and give my power to, because the most power that you have is that power that live within, that God left for all of us. Now, friends, if you're new here, I want you to understand, I stopped looking for God on the outside. I've been saying this quite often because sometimes individuals that I don't know, or individuals that been, a part of my journey, sometimes, they may think completely different. Have she gotten away from God? Do she believe that there, is a God and everything? I'm just saying, for the mindset thinking like this, which, I don't have to give accountability to the individual minds that thinks like that. But I'm just saying, when you shift and when you really begin to understand the principles and laws that allow you to walk in abundance, you'll understand the power and those words what the other individuals that came before any of us, that was already tapped in and tuned into. I truly believe that the work here on this earthly realm, it is appeared to or seem to be as if it's difficult and hard. But in reality, I realized lately, if there is something that will get me out of alignment, I immediately say, okay, I'm losing my peace, I'm losing my light, I'm losing my love. This is how I am moving in this life. And when I realize it, I immediately just breathe a little and say, don't say nothing. Let it pass. Let it flow. And I constantly say that. Don't say nothing. Let it pass. Let it flow. Because have you ever noticed when you go back and forth with something that want your power and things, and then when you realize what it did and how it may have affected you, probably raised up a little bit of pressure, then you realize when you have a moment to sit down and think like, did I really give it my power? Friends, stay in your power. Stay in your peace. Every day that you get up, have a beautiful reason to know the reason why you want to live in your best performance. And when I say best performance, the performance that fit you. If you love praying and things, continue to pray. If you believe in the power of prayer, continue to believe, because your faith and your driven energy and that vibration that is so loving that is upon your life, people feel it. Even I feel it, friend, if you are a part of this journey, okay, that is really renewing, transforming every day, because you're asking God to come into your life and to renew your mindset. Now, I do want to say this much for the friends. If you know that you need a little bit more, because let's be real and honest here, and I'm saying this to my friends. If you didn't know, I'm just a vessel that God is just using to come here in this part of my particular life in the morning time to speak peace, light, and love, to give individuals the upliftment that they need. I'm going to tell you, there were times and moments that, I had needed individuals to pour into me, to tell me, now it's going to be okay, get back up. Everything is working out for your highest good. But then when a friend came along and they just began to speak differently in my life and tell me that I know that you love God and I know that you pray, but it's the principles, okay, that you're not really applying to your life. You got them, but you're not applying, because when you apply these principles, you understand what Jesus' walk was about. Yesterday I talked about those monks walking. They just took it upon themselves however it came, and however they were sent out to go into the places and just walk and to spread the peace and the light and love. I believe that God can use anyone. I believe that it's not set in stone about how individuals, okay, can go about being used with peace, light, and love. But when that spirit and when the power of God holiness, okay, that bring about a righteous tune and that salvation, okay, that can do and work a new things in individuals' life, God can use anyone, especially, okay, whereby it's a need. So now, how do this goes with walking in abundance and things? Walking in abundance is completely doing the inner work, okay, showing up for the day, taking one day at a time, and being thankful that you have the opportunity to take one day at a time. You know, in my life journey, I'm realizing, and especially at this decade and years and age that I'm living, and I say it because I got to laugh about it, because I really realize that it's a blessing. And I say this way. I don't know how many individuals that is over the age of 50 and, you know, you're now in your 60s, you know, and things, and you realize that life and time in itself have played out. And some things has been good and some things may not have been good, but you accept them and you embrace the things that you really can't change. And that's what I had to do. I had to say, God, you know, allow me to accept those things that I cannot change. Not to change them, but give me the encouragement and the strength, okay, that I need in order to apply the principles and to let you to be my most highest praise. And I'm thankful. I am completely thankful. Friends, I definitely appreciate you. I appreciate your kindness. I appreciate you just for being you. I appreciate you understanding that we're all living in this earthly realm, supposed to be as unity and as oneness. And I say it like that because I'm just now understanding, if I can really be true and honest, is that we really are all one. It makes no difference, you know, that we live in different households and things, and we were raised up completely, you know, in a different country or space and place. But our energy is what I'm saying, and our spirit come from the one that created all of us. That's what I'm saying. So let me add some real clarity on that. We come from the Most High that created us. Good or bad or indifference, okay? We come from the Creator that sent us here on purpose to do some amazing work to keep us in that right alignment. And basically, okay, the things that we are trying to attract, they are already working out for your highest good. Oh God, I thank you. Now I'm going to go through the chat and just to say what individuals are speaking about. Okay, good morning. An individual said, hello. Hello, friend. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, friend, especially in this particular new year, which is a new beginning for individuals. Yes, it is. I leave my friends in peace, light, and love. But I want to go here and I want to say my abundance or your abundance could be completely different what you want and what you're trying to manifest. Manifestation to me, it begins within and it flows outwardly. And I say within because whatever you want, if you believe it enough, you truly already have it according to the Lord's will. I only want those particular things that is going to work in my best interest of this part of my particular life. Listen, when I tell you this inner work has been real, and in a good way to me, the way that I thought was bad, the way that I thought that why is this lesson is here, it really was good because now I have what you call the tools to express to individuals and to say, you know, listen, I'm not perfect and I am thankful for all of the lessons that I had to go through. And while this is upon my heart, I want to give it to someone. Let go of the things that you cannot change. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Be the beautiful soul and the light that God have called you to be. Let it go. Be kind to all souls, okay? Kind. Be thankful that you can be kind. Be thankful that you got the mindset to see even deeper, okay? That power of discernment. Be thankful. Be thankful. Let gratitude reign and rule in your life. See the God in everyone, good or bad. That's how you can pray for individuals. When you can't see God in them, you can pray for them, okay? You don't have to, okay, get permission to pray for souls that need prayer. If you praying with a positive prayer. Now, none of us need these prayers that's not positive. I know I don't. Don't pray for me with, you know, in other words, with the flames of, you know, is not good. If you're going to pray, pray in a positive way. And that's for anyone. When things are not showing up in individuals and you say, oh, I don't like them or I don't like this, I'm choosing the path to pray. Just to pray. Seeing the good in everybody, even if their light is not turned on. This is the best position I could have found myself in, and I'm living it. Oh, God, I thank you. Blessings and power to everyone. Keep your notifications on, friends. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. Listen, as we are all growing in our personal spiritual journey, and as we're all being thankful, we know that this is a new year. We don't know how this year may turn out, but if you have in your mindset that everything is working out for your highest good and carrying that with you throughout your day, because this is the particular position that I'm in. I woke up this morning, gave God some thanksgiving and praises, did some things before I came here. Moving a little slow, but I still was like, God, I thank you. Could be because of the cold weather where I'm located at here in Florida. You know, because sometimes it don't get, you know, cold. And sometimes when it do get cold, it's a shift. It's like it's a shock. And then the next day it can be hot. So, you know, it shifts and it shocks the body. So a part of that, I still say, let me come on to this space and let me just share with my friends. That's part of life. You know, things can shift. It can be different. Oh, friends, you know I can go on and on talking about, you know, walking in the abundance. Let your abundance show up in your life on purpose, in power. God love you. I love you, friends. Peace, light, and love. And thank you for thumbsing up the video and subscribing to the channel, okay? Until next time, keep your notifications on, okay? Thank you once again. I appreciate you.